Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of the Great Millstone. Shalom to you, hopefully elect. I'm your brother Yahweh Call from Great Millstone, Orlando. And, being that we're in an age of enlightenment, all right, the age of truth, all right, we're in a time where order is being established on the earth, which is basically kryptonite to 2/3, and especially for a woman, being that Esau has given a license to sin. All right. So with that being said, specifically about talking about Eve in this video, and how she's again given out license to sin. All right. And of course, with that being said, she doesn't want to get an order. All right. And this is why there's this push against masculinity, men waking up to the fact that they are the prize. Men waking up to the fact, not the opinion, but the fact that they are the valuable ones. All right. So again, with that being said, these women, there's this push. There's an attack against masculinity, which they call it toxic masculinity, but there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's only toxic people. All right. You see, because I always talk about one of the top threats when it comes to this society, which of course women, especially the Israelite woman, she benefits the most, for the most part, from this environment that we're in, where, again, one of the top threats is an Israelite man that knows his worth. All right, a man that stands on principle, a man that has value. All right, a man that represents something. You see, that is a top threat to Esau's system, to the society, which again, this system is beneficial to Eve. So, going back to the Gardenian Pact in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, with the serpent and Eve. All right, the perfect match made in hell. All right, so basically by default, again, being that an Israelite man, more specifically an Israelite man that wakes up to this truth, all right, the top threat to Esau, and again, by default, that would make it a threat to Eve in particular, more specifically. You see? So, with that being said, I got this video here by Asking Older Man. All right. I'm going to play as much of this video as I can through the spirit. Fair use. I'm not making any type of monetary gain off of this video. This is just for informational purposes only. But let's check this out.
You're unaware, we're in a sassy man apocalypse. For the women not being approached by men, it's not you, it's the men. And for the men, if the shoe don't fit, don't wear it. So let me give some of these men examples, and this is from my data and my research. I'm not making this up, this is true, to tell you if you're part of the sassy man apocalypse.
My favorite thing to say is that we're in a sassy man apocalypse. I was having a conversation with a guy today, and we were talking about the sassy man apocalypse. He brought it up, and he was like,
sorry, I just watched the most nonsensical video ever, so now we're going to talk about sassy men. Have you been called sassy in the past few days? Watch this video because I'm about to tell you why.
Apparently I'm a lesbian because every single guy that I'm with seems to forget that there's supposed to be a man in the relationship. So instead, I'm just stuck with 2 women, me and him.
Alrighty, gentlemen. Sometimes, my friends, I think I lose a few brain cells when I have to bring you this sort of content. But it is essential for especially young men to realize that they're dealing with a serious group of women who are pushing an agenda. It's almost like a psychological warfare to break you, to constantly demean you, to use terms like sassy, gay, soft, anything to make you feel less of a man in order to actually make you feel that you should contribute to her. This is all this is about. So in today's episode, my friends, we're going to talk about the sassy men's apocalypse.
So you see, basically, as he played a series of clips, and going to get into some more clips, going into this psychological warfare with these women, man. You see, this is why, as a man, we have to have a certain wits about ourselves. All right. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about the men. It's about the man. All right. For the longest time, and when you think about it, it's just like, it's like, what's the issue? Because for decades, it's always been about men need to step up, men ain't shit, men this, the blame has always been the man. While these women have been, again, for decades, they've been able to do whatever they want and not be held accountable. And again, we're in this age of enlightenment. We're in this age of these women getting called out. All right. There's this call again for women to hold themselves accountable, which again, accountability is like kryptonite for women. All right. And they don't like it. You see, that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. A woman, she doesn't want to be told what to do. She doesn't want to be reproved. So what we're going to see here in these clips that my man's here is going to play, because again, it's a psychological warfare, and the Wadi Al Shai, again, we're in this age where you women are being found out, called out. All right. You're being called out, we're in this age where, like I said, man, you just got to understand the game, You just got to understand the game because, for the longest, men have just, for the most part, just been in la la land, just going with the flow as if this is supposed to be normal. But again, men in general are coming to their senses. This isn't normal. This is not how it's supposed to be. And again, this is why there's this push against masculinity. There's this push. All right. Because men are waking up and men are tired. Men are tired. All right. And these women don't like the fact that, hey, they're losing their power. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day. They're losing their power. The box doesn't mean shit anymore. There's plenty of that to go around. But even with that being said, especially when it comes to a man of Yahweh Shemel Shai, all right, you're losing your power, and it's a horrible feeling. That's what it boils down to. And that's why as men, you hopefully like brothers, man, again, having a certain wits about you. Especially when it comes to dealing with these women, set your standard, man. deal with wisdom, deal wisely, because these women, they're all they're looking to do is to conquer. All right, and when they get you, hey, it's on to the next. Again, it's a game, and men are waking up to the game. You see, so this whole psychological warfare, because again, as a man that has principles, all right, a man that's actually able to say no, you know, because these women have been catered to all their lives. They can't handle rejection. They no one's ever told them no. So when they come across, I'm talking about outside of an Israelite man, because the Lord just has a certain spirit out here to where, like I said, man, men are just waking up. So outside of the Israelite man, outside of brothers in the truth, the fact that men are basically, having the cojones to turn these women away, reject these women, more and more getting out of that Captain Save a Whole spirit, more and more getting out of that simp spirit. And these women, they'll try to, again, play some type of a, reverse psychology shit, or who hurt you, right? I know brothers have heard that one. Who hurt you? Or you're sassy, right? It's a psychological warfare. And again, as a man, you can't fall for the shit because, hey, you can't fall for the shit, man. All right. So that's why, again, having a certain wits about you, basically stand your ground, have a pair, grow a pair,
I can't even say it right. Yeah, this whole new trend now, the whole sassy man's apocalypse. I'm a grown-ass man. Why am I talking about this shit? But it's necessary. Subscribe, my friends. Please like this video on the way in. Listen, gentlemen, I deal a lot with relationships, and unfortunately, this is the content I have to bring you so that in order to keep you well informed as you enter into the relationship market. Now, a lot of us who are following this channel are more mature men, but we also have to understand that there's a massive group of young men who are trying to navigate the relationship world that I also have to speak to. And that's why I would always encourage you to share this with your sons, share this with your daughters, so that they can get some sort of clue and some sort of grasp into what we have to deal with in today's dating market, so that we can have some measure of success. So let's get into this whole phenomenon.
And I encourage brothers, again, because it's all a game, man. Once you figure out the game, because you get to a point where you mature, so you understand the mind of a woman more and more. You figure these women out, and I just be encouraging brothers, hey, play the game. Play the game. And damn sure, I encourage brothers never, don't ever take any of this shit serious, especially when it comes to a woman. All right, just play the game and have fun with it. At the end of the day, have fun with it. At the end of the day, we are in hell. We do need some type of a, balance. So hey, have fun with it.
That I'm currently seeing on TikTok, the sassy man apocalypse.
If you're unaware, we're in a sassy man apocalypse. For the women not being approached by men, it's not you, it's the men. And for the men, if the shoe don't fit, don't wear it. So let me give some of these men examples. And this is from my data and my research. I'm not making this up. This is true. To tell you if you're part of the sassy man apocalypse. Okay. For one, if you ask, what do you bring to the table? Of course, you're probably the ringleader of the sassy man apocalypse. What you bring to the table.
So gentlemen, all you're going to see right here, right now, is a nod.
So that's like I said, man, just some reverse psychology shit. As a man, again, understanding you're the valuable one, all right? You're the prize, right? So, with that being said, if you dealing with a chick, man, right, and you ask her, because at one point, hey, it was about what could you bring as a man? What could you bring to the table, right? And but again, now we're in the age where, hey, men are waking up. And the real question is, what can you bring to the table? What value can you add to my life, to my enterprise? You see, and women, they're not used to hearing things like that. All right. So this reverse psychology shit kicks in. You know, like I said, who hurt you? Right? You know, or you're sassy, right? You know, and I heard this before. You know, dealing with a woman. You know, just talking to a woman. You know, a woman that came up to me, trying to, you know, flirt with me. You know, trying to spit game with me. You know, talking about, what she said, man. And like I said, hey, have fun with it, you know, because at the end of the day, at least to me, it's nothing but entertainment. I don't take none of this shit serious, man, especially when dealing with these women, you know, because I was just entertaining the shit, you know. Now I will give credit where it's due, you know, because like I said, man, Eve coming up to me, you know, and that's how it's supposed to be. You see, that's the thing about it. That's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be coming up to you, you know. She's supposed to be bring her resources to you, you know. But I straight up heard a woman tell me one time, you know, man, what she say? It was something along the lines of, oh, you know, a man that, what she say? It was something along the lines of, how she can't stand a man that knows his value. You know, straight up said that. Eve straight up said that. Something along those lines. I can't stand a man that knows his value. I can't stand a man that knows his worth. And you hear a lot of these women say that, you know, straight up say that, you know. I remember not too long ago, me and one of the blood brothers was doing the, you know, Friday camp on International in Orlando on a Friday, you know, and after camp we were fellowshipping and whatnot. Just me and the bro, and two so-called black women, you know, came up and they wanted to, it was one of those things where, you know, the interview on a TikTok, you know, one of those things, and I wasn't interested. I was not interested, straight up, you know. I was just like, no, I'm good, you know. But bro, hey, he wanted to you know, entertain the thought or whatever, you know. But and I was just like, hey, you got it, king. You know. And when I said that, one of the Eves, because there was two of them, one of the Eves looked back. She gave me a certain look like, oh, you one of them. You basically, you woke or whatever, you know, whatever the term is, you know. Oh, you one of them. Oh, you know your worth. You know your value, you know. She gave me that look, because I told bro, hey, you know, I told him straight up, hey, you got it, king. You know, I ain't, you know, I'm good. You know, you got it, king. So she looked back and gave me that look. You see? So, like I said, man, you know, a woman, she can't, they, you know, we're just in the age where, of course, righteousness is being established, order is being established on the earth, you know, and Eve, she's losing her power. So, you know, she's going to say whatever she can, do whatever she can do to just like Esau, you know, to cling on to that power, man. So brothers gotta be careful, you know, especially when we're dealing with these women. Brothers gotta be careful. You know, there's a reason why the Lord is protecting us. You know, the hopefully elect brothers. All right. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna grab this. Let this guy Shannon Sharp be an example, you know. Grab this real quick. In Ecclesiastes 7 in verse 26. And I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. So you see, because listen, man, again, these women, they are looking to trap you up, man. You know, these women, they have these babies, all these babies by different men, right? Just to, get a paycheck, man. It's a hustle. It's a hustle. They'll end up putting holes in the condoms, right? you know, it's a hustle, man. So again, brothers got to be careful, because these women, they are looking to trap you up. All right. Again, Shannon Sharp, let him be an example, right? Because that's when it goes on to say, it says, "Whoso pleases God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her." So you see, like I said, the Lord's been protecting brothers, preserving brothers. Yeah. We get it. Brothers are deprived and things of that nature. But hey, it's worth it. At the end of the day, it's all going to pay off. And speaking on that, again, brothers being deprived or whatnot, hey, you so-called sisters, all right, you claim that you believe. Well, hey, make yourself available to brothers, man. To because the elder Amawan Gabar from the main camp makes his point from time to time, and just echoing his point. Hey, you sisters that you say you believe, because like I mentioned earlier, this whole society is based off your comfort, your convenience. So you women have certain resources that could be helpful for the body. It could be helpful for brothers. Make yourself available for brothers. Hit brothers up when they, hit a brother up, on a comment board or whatever the case may be. Make yourself available. So that's just on another note, because brothers are burning, brothers are deprived. From there, I'm gonna go to Proverbs 6. Brothers gotta be careful, man. Again, man, it's a hustle for these women. Sad to say, but it's a hustle. Proverbs 6, because again, all the woman's looking to do is for the most part, is trap you up, man. She's looking to conquer you and on to the next. That's why Proverbs 6. Bear with me. Proverbs 6 and 26. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. So, hey, like I said, man, hey, a woman, she will suck you dry. All right. She will take you for what you got and leave you with nothing. Wipe her lips and say, hey, I ain't, no accountability, And that's why I always say, one of my sayings, man, hey, this world will fail you, and these women, they will break your heart, but the Lord will never let us down, man. And again, it's sad to say, but you got to put these women in a different category. They are a world in itself, a world of trouble in itself. That's why, like I read, man, this is nothing more, excruciating to deal with, nothing more vexing to deal with for the most part than a woman, man. And again, that's why the Lord is preserving brothers. The Lord is preserving brothers, man. Because, boy, these women, man. I remember asking brothers a long time ago, I asked brothers, man, do y'all think that Eve, because, Esau, he's the wicked. He is the wicked. But it got to a point where I asked brothers a long time ago, man, do y'all think, is it possible that Eve can be more wicked than Esau himself, man? Because this is like, goddamn. Again, Eve, she will break your heart and have no remorse, And then, you know, it's sad to say, but hey, these women, they you know, they don't love for real. You know, they love the idea, the opportunity. You know, because that's another, you know, argument in this, you know, this in this society when that topic comes up. You know, about can men love and, you know, women love. Women don't love for real, man. They love, like I said, they love the idea. They love the opportunity. You know, but men really love for real. That's why the scriptures talk about the jealousy being a rage of a man. Men love for real. You know, and that's why men be going out of their wits. You know, you know. These women they don't love Jake for real, man. You know. But let's play some more of this.
When women are not getting their way. So if you request a 50-50 relationship, you're sassy. You're a sassy man. You can't make this shit up, man. And they will use these terms effectively to break you, gentlemen. Please bear this in mind. Because you don't want to be called sassy, do you?
How does this benefit me? How do you benefit me? What are you doing for me? Anything with me. You have been infected by the sassy man apocalypse. 2, if you are not approaching women because you're afraid of rejection and you're just tired of the rejection, or you're tired of not finding what you want out of a woman, and you feel like you're the prize and you should be chased, you're infected by the sassy man apocalypse. Now, if you're not approaching women because you're just not interested right now, you're working on you, that's a healed man. That's not a sassy man. That's a healed man. But if you're not approaching women because you feel like they should be approaching you, or they should come to you, or you're just over women, but you want a woman, yeah, you're in the sassy man apocalypse. If you,
I swear to God, it sounds like I'm listening to my 14-year-old. Jesus, man. Oh, in other words, if it isn't about her, you're sassy. You do not ever think that anything should be about you, young man or old man. You're sassy. Listen, man, you older guys, you guys can get caught into this shit as well. Men who have been out of the market for a while, and then women start throwing off these terms, and you're trying to be cool, and you're trying to enter back into the dating market, and you hear this shit. This will affect you, okay? Because now all of a sudden you think you need to conform in order to be accepted by this new generation of women. So, my friends, you have to understand when you're being psychologically manipulated. Let's hear what another lady says.
My favorite thing to say is that we're in a sassy man apocalypse. I was having a conversation with a guy today and we were talking about the sassy man apocalypse. He brought it up and he was like, women love to say that we're in a sassy man apocalypse. And I'm like, because we literally are. These men have attitudes. A lot of them are walking around like they're the prize. He raised a few points to which I will say 2 things. If I'm the prize and I choose my man and my man chooses me, he is also the prize. I'm also winning. We're both winning. If I pick...
So let's get this real quick in Isaiah. Matter of fact, Isaiah Isaiah 13. Which this is like nails on a chalkboard for women and these simps. And again, that's why there's a push for or this attack, you know, concerning masculinity, man, manhood, you know, man coming back into true manhood, you know, for the most part, you know, some form of manhood as far as these average dudes out here, you know, because scriptures tell us to remember the days of old, man, you know, our ancient forefathers and how they thought, you know, the attitude, right, you know, because this is what we're coming back into, all right. And again, Eve, right along with Esau, she sees her time running up, you know. She sees her kingdom going down, you know, her joint heirship kingdom, right? And that's why there's this push, like you had these fucking demons. What's this bitch, man? Katy Perry and all, you know, all those demons that so-called went into outer space, you know, to push that, you know, that woman worship vibration, that upliftment for women vibration, you know, that's all it is, man, you know, because Eve, she's losing her power grip. Isaiah 13:12, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So, you know, we bring it out a million times, but just to get this point, this phrase. It says it said, I will make a man more precious, right, than fine gold. So going into that term, in the Strongs, it says to esteem. Be prized, be valuable, be precious, costly appraised. So you see, there it is right there. All right. As far as who's the prize. All right, because going back to the story that I was telling earlier about, Eve straight up came to me and she was flirting, and and like I said, I was entertaining the shit, because that's all it is to me. It's entertainment. All right, but it was obvious she wanted me to be in that simp spirit. She wanted me to be all weak in my knees, and but I stood my damn ground, and that's how you got to be. I don't need you. You need me. And it's not a thing of arrogancy. It's just truth. Again, what can you bring to the table? What value do you add to my life? So, with that conversation, like I said, man, Eve was just expecting me to be all, oh my goodness, wanted me to be weak in my knees, and, like, no, man, and it just got to the point where, hey, she was like, ooh, I can't, like I said, she straight up, I can't stand a man that knows his worth. And I'm just like, why are you still standing here? Why are you still talking to me? Why are you still standing here? Straight up told her, why are you still standing here then? My mind's not going to change. But before she walked off, she just had to get the last say so. Remember, I'm the prize. And that's what she said before she walked off. I said, all right, you got it, queen. You got it. And I said that in its, in the sense of what it means, a whore. That's what a queen is. There's no queen. When it comes to the daughters of Israel, you're princesses. You're not queens. All right. I don't even believe there's a Hebrew word for queen. All right. So I said it, in a sense where, hey, you got a queen. All right. You got a whore. You got a prostitute, but that's what she said, before she walked off. And remember, I'm the prize. You can't make this shit up, man. These women are delusional, man. And that's why, again, as far as you brothers, man, you got to have a wits about yourself, man. Gotta have a pair, just because of, even with that, a fine woman at that, man. Don't get all, bent out of shape, getting your dog tail starts wagging and shit. No, man, that shit's not impressive. All right.
The man that I choose, he's going to be the prize in the sense that he's the man that I want. He's the provider. He's my protector. He makes me feel secure. He makes me feel safe. He's all these things that I want in a guy. That also makes him the prize. Don't get me wrong, I'm also the prize, and I'm providing whatever it is that he wants. I think it's important that we remember that relationships are two-way streets, and just as much as you expect from somebody else, you have to be just as good of a partner to that person. I think that we lose that in translation a lot when we were speaking about like female empowerment and everything like that. I'm really fucking crazy. I don't know what. Me and my friend.
She's a little bit more reasonable, but nowhere, no how do they define how they contribute back to a man. Oh, he's a protector, provider,
right.
But what does she actually contribute to him in order for her to be the prize? Some overused panani? Ooh, at least back in the day, men got virgins. So what else does a woman bring to the table in order for her to be a prize? What value? I'm going to stop using this term, what she brings to the table, because that phrase have been so overused. Gentlemen, you start asking women, what value do you contribute to the relationship? What value are you bringing to this relationship? I'm going to protect and provide you. Okay, great. So what value are you bringing? And if she can't answer that question, then there's no further discussion. You know that you are the prize. Because there's one thing about a prize. It has value. It has some sense of value.
Sorry, I just watched the most nonsensical video ever, so now we're going to talk about sassy men. Have you been called sassy in the past few days? Watch this video because I'm about to tell you why. Sassy men has got nothing to do with you man needing to show your emotions and crying and being honest about how you feel, okay? Sassy men has got nothing to do with men that know how to take care of themselves and have good bodily hygiene, yeah? Sassy men has got everything to do with men now being involved in women's business. We're talking about women's makeup. Do you buy makeup? Are you yourself? In fact, let's even say it's women's business because you are not even a makeup buyer or wearer. Why would you now decide to have input into something to do with makeup in a woman's face? Because me personally, I've not sat here and told you lot what hairstyle I think should work on you. Obviously, we all have our preferences. preferences. And do you know what I do with my preference? I go and find somebody that has that preference. Every 5 minutes, girls that wear makeup, why don't you just do eyelashes and lip gloss? Why don't you just go and date those girls, huh? Like, listen, these boys are actually not well. They will be screaming this preference, but they will go and harass a girl that does full face Mac. You harass us. Leave me alone. And do you know what they'll do? They'll steady try and change you. Oh, you should stop doing it. Because you linked me with Fenty. Don't try and make me Rare Beauty eyebrow soap stupid. No, we call you lot sassy when you have input in things that you don't need to be involved in. No.
So now the man should have no input into her.
So you see, as I'm sure my man's getting ready to go into, again, these women don't want to be told what to do, and you're wondering why no one did, as far as men aren't showing up to these, dating events. You're wondering why you women are just through and through. Why no one wants to take you serious? Like I said, hey, I'm a straight up encourager, brother. Hey, man, have fun with this shit, man. Don't take none of this shit serious. Play the game. All right? Play the game. Get what you need. Hey, and it's unfortunate to say because, hey, especially when it comes to Eve, hey, we're not even supposed to be, making whores out of the daughters of Israel. But, I mean, here it is, we're in Babylon 2025 AD. These women are already whores, man. Now, granted, of course, if you get you something, if the Lord throws you a bone, you get you an Evite, man. She wants to deal. She deals right by you, whatever the case may be. If it pleases her to deal with you, hey, deal with her. Deal with her accordingly. But as far as all these other chicks out here, man, these chickens, man, hey, get what you need and on to the next, man. Play the game. Have fun. Because, again, it's always about the man. And, he was always, I want to protect her. I want to provide her. But it's never about what you can bring, it's never about you being submissive, you being in order, so on and so forth. Just, again, no accountability. Like it's always said, these women want a traditional man, but you don't want to be traditional women yourselves. So make it make sense. You can't have the best of both worlds.
Fashion choice. So if she wants to wear the full face of makeup, or what I call the mask, literally, it's just like literally pulling a mask off. Everything is attached: the hair, the eyelashes, the entire makeup. And under all of that, if the man says, I want to see that, you are sassy because you're interfering with that, my friends. She wants to wear that mask. That mask is who she is. And you're sassy if you ask her to take off the mask. Yeah, make that shit make sense. In other words, women want to be left to their own devices and get away with any shit and have no one say anything about anything that they do. Nothing.
And that's why women need to be led. They need to be ruled over. All right? Because, hey, it's like the scripture says, she's clamorous, and knoweth nothing. Right? Just loud for no reason. Loud for no reason. There's no wisdom. And this is why you need someone to make decisions for you. It's not about control. All right? It's not about control. All right? But as far as men and how we think, the Lord that's just how the Lord set it up, man. Men thinking logically, all right, reasonably, rationally, versus you women, you think with your emotions, you think of, what feels good in the moment, all right, not thinking about the long-term consequences, the long-term effects. This is why you need someone to think for you. This is why, hey, a woman, she was under the authority of her husband, under the authority of her father, who was later on passed on to a husband. All right. And that's just the order of things, which again, you win, you hear that word, and it's like kryptonite. Because listen, when you're under the authority of someone that has your best interests at heart, you can't go wrong. All right. Y'all talking about slavery. Well, you goddamn right it's slavery. We are slaves to Hamashiach. But hey, our Lord has our best interests at heart. So, that's why it's even all the more important to be in servitude to a man of Yahweh Shema Shah, who's going to really have your best interests at heart. All right. But I'm going to grab this. And Lord willing, I'm going to leave the link to this video because I'm going to go ahead and end it off. Gotta get up out of here. I'm going to grab this. Because again, an admonishment to you hopefully elect brothers, especially young brothers. And I'm talking to myself as well. Because listen, we're in a time now where, again, Eve, she sees her kingdom's losing. All right. Things are getting hard. It's going to get more tough. And these women, they're looking for an opportunity, man. They're looking for the next opportunity. They're looking for the next man to conquer. All right. So you got to be careful out here, man. All right. Because listen, and it's no coincidence over the years, especially the so-called black woman, man, she's been getting hella nice. She's been getting hella friendly, man. That's not a coincidence. All right. But nevertheless, they're going to be choosing more. They're coming up to brothers more, so have wits about you, man. All right. Set your standard and be careful when it comes to these women, because they are looking to conquer and destroy and on to the next. Ecclesiasticus 9. I start at 1. Be not jealous over the wife of thy bosom, and teach her not in evil. And teach her not an evil lesson against thyself. You see, you can't be pillow talking with your woman, man. Any woman, all right. You can't be telling her all your secrets, and you have to have a certain distance, a certain boundaries when dealing with these women. Because another thing, Eve, she don't forget shit, I told brothers this last Saturday at the camp, because Jake be forgetting shit, but Eve, listen. She'll bring up a conversation 5 years ago. You remember when you said you was gonna do such and such? When I say that, well, you said it. You said this on January 25th, 2021. It was a Tuesday at 3:45 p.m. You said that, Eve, yeah. She'll take what you say and use it against you at some point, eventually. So don't be pillow talking to these women or anything like that, Verse 2 says, give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance. So you see, be careful, man, because again, these women, they'll suck you dry and leave you out there. And again, hold themselves not accountable. All right. It says, meet not with an harlot, lest thou fall into her snares. So you see, man. All right. These women there, for the most part, man, looking for the next opportunity, looking for the next, check. Because like I said, man, for the most part, it's a hustle for these women. They got a nigga to pay for their nails, and another nigga to pay for their phone bill, another nigga to pay their car note. Don't be another one of these statistics, man. Have a certain wits about you, man, and be careful because, it's coming down to the wire. Shit's getting tight. All right, and brothers gotta have to have that ability to see right past these people, man, especially these women, boy. But a lot could be said. It's no coincidence with these videos dealing with women. It's always a longer topic. There's a lot that could be said. So I'll leave it there. If you want to watch the rest of this video, the link will be in the description. Abarat is edifying. All praises to Yahweh Shema Shai. Shalom to you. Hopefully elect.